Hello everyone and welcome to another episode featuring Project Beatrix. Well, at least me sitting here talking to you. There is a very good reason for that, because today was the MOT day for Project Beatrix. It has been almost a year since I took it for its first MOT in 2.5 years, and I remember that day I was bricking it. I didn't know what to expect. We had brakes that were hanging on a little bit too tightly to the discs. But overall, it got through that day and it passed the MOT. And well, the rest has been somewhat a bit of a history in the last 12 months. The car's behaved impeccably for me. I've done a few jobs since the MOT, namely brake hoses, coolant expansion tank, and a few other niggly little jobs. But that car has given me absolutely everything. And only a few days ago, I drove to and from Leeds, which would have been about 200 miles there and back-ish, maybe a bit more than that, and without complaint. And it just starts and it goes, and that's what you want from any car, at least a car that is now going to be 20 years of age this year. Absolutely incredible. But today's the MOT day, and unfortunately today has been a tale of a very different car to the one I've just described. Hence why I'm wearing this hat. I have been out there cleaning up a mess. Unfortunately, there have been three big problems with this car today. Well, I say three big problems. They are big problems because up until today, it ran absolutely fine. But these problems are not massive problems, but they've added up a little bit today. And I don't feel as if that's my car today. Ever woken up and felt that the car you drove yesterday was a very different car to the one that you're driving today? I think we've all had that feeling. Anyway, took it for the MOT test, and the tester was very impressed with the cleanliness of it. It was a different tester to the one last year. Anyway, left it in, and I was very pleasantly delighted when he told me that the car had passed with full honours. Not predictable, is it? Really? But what was interesting was the end of that conversation, which was basically your car's passed, but it overheated. What? When I say overheated, what he really meant was coolant was expanding out of the expansion tank beyond the cap and splattering everywhere and boiling over. Oh no. I suppose you're probably thinking at this moment in time, head gasket failure, you're going to have to do it all over again because you've done something wrong. Well, hold your horses. Firstly, in the morning before I took it to the MOT, the first problem that I found was, well, not really a problem, it took me 2 seconds, because I literally stopped off for petrol on the way to dropping it off at the garage before I went into work, and I noticed that the driver's headlight, which was working yesterday, had in fact decided it wanted to just break apart and give up. So luckily I had a spare H7 in the boot, and literally I had not changed up to that point either of those front headlights since I bought Beatrix. So pretty good. Standard halogen bulbs can last a few years. They can last 6 months. It depends on how good your earth points are, I think. I think if your earth points are really dodgy, you've got some dodgy connections, you're going to get some earthing issues, you're going to get, poor contacts, and the bulbs aren't going to like that. They're just filaments, but they are quite sensitive. It's just a thin little filament. It's enough for them to blow. But obviously that day, old age got to it, bang. That's okay, changed it in 2 minutes, and it was a very, very easy job as usual on any Rover product. So obviously that was the problem before the MOT, got it done, and obviously we're now in this issue. So mainly he said the advice he gave me was, well, it's a Rover, it's probably a head gasket. Oh, thanks, because you've just taken my money for the MOT and it's passed, but oh, we've got a problem. But it still passed the emissions, and it actually flew the emissions, which I'm going to speak about in a second. But at the same time, I said, so what actually happened? Well, it was on the emissions ramp, and we had to get it to temperature, and it suddenly just splurted out coolant all over the garage. I was like, oh, great, lovely. So that really shocked me, because I'd not expected that. It had all new parts, head gasket, everything, all new parts. So what's gone wrong? What has happened? Well, I sheepishly took the ticket and walked out feeling actually that somebody had given me about 50 quid and taken 60 quid off me. Not literally, but it just felt like I've got a ticket, but there's no point if your car doesn't work properly. And in the case of a Rover, if it's doing things like that, that's really serious, that is. So I sheepishly walked to my car that was parked around the corner and looked in the engine bay with a little bit of disgust. The garage had filled the expansion tank just up to brim it, almost, well, not brimming it, but over the maximum, bit overfilled. So I'm scratching my head as to why. This was a perfectly good car the other day. I've literally driven to Leeds 2 days earlier. And I think we've all had that feeling when we've taken our car to a garage for whatever purpose, and you think, well, it was fine 2 days ago, and then the day of the test it does this. You just feel that the world is against you on some days. But anyway, there was a little bit of a leak down the back of the engine, presumably where the coolant had just splattered all everywhere. So yeah, a bit of cleaning up. But why? And should I drive that? Well, it started fine and it went up the road, no problems. Apart from one thing, I could tell that the car was dragging itself a little bit. And I'm thinking, smells like a cooked breakfast coming from the back. Oh yeah, because that was the other problem. You see, the issue with, not the fact that I don't think there was a problem beforehand. The cars had all new calipers, but the driver's rear caliper decided that it was just going to retain that strength and clinching of the disc. And I'm thinking, why is it stuck on? Why? Why is it just decided of all days to do this? I could only presume that the MOT tester has pulled it handbrake right up, because I felt it straight away. When I got in the car, the handbrake just went up about halfway with no effort. I thought, that's not right. That feels like a handbrake that hasn't come off. And that's something I've experienced before with the Focus, where I've just taken it off and it's like the shoes they've stuck to the drum, and then you sort of give it a bit of gas and then bang, the shoes crack, the drums start spinning away from the shoes and they release. Just a bit of stiffness going on there. So I thought, well, why would it do it during an MOT? Passenger side, perfectly fine. Driver side, as I discovered when I jacked it up at home late in the day, yeah, completely seized. The handbrake was off, but wheel was seized. And the first thing I did was get a hammer at the return spring. And hey presto, one tap, bing, wheel released. Why? Why did the return spring, which is as new as the rest of the caliper, feel that it just wanted to get stuck? I could only assume there was something wedged in there and I just bashed it out and then just, that's it, wheel released. Can't believe it. It's just, I have no idea why that happened. It has never ever happened before today. So I'm thinking, what have they done to the car? And then the other last issue, of course, is that particular issue. Well, to cut a long story short, I drove it home, 20 minutes. I sat in traffic, very much idling for several minutes in heavy traffic. Temperature just about below the middle. So it wasn't quite getting to temperature, and I noticed that. I'm thinking, okay, but no smells and no coolant warning light coming on. What's going on? So, okay, I kept driving it, drove it up a hill, revved it, did everything that you're supposed to do to necessitate the worst come scenario with a K series. Nothing. Got home, opened the bonnet, and strangely, I was just looking round. I had the bonnet open for about a minute, took the switch out just to test the electric fan, make sure that was kicking in, because the garage's very words were it overheated. I think what has happened is, well, I'm going to show you a video of some investigation work, but about 30 seconds after looking around, taking the fan switch off to test the fan, which works, and having a visual look around to see what's going on here. Take the oil cap off, make sure there's no mayonnaise, check that, have a look at the bottle. No, nothing. A few bits of dirt has obviously been disturbed out the system, has gone into the bottle, but nothing really much. And then this happened. Right, that temperature is reading absolutely fine, but what's happening over here is not good. That is literally coming out of its oh dearie me. Yeah. Oh dear. It's not good. But I think we've got a bit of a dodgy cap, because that's not holding pressure at all. Yeah, that's a dodgy cap. They shouldn't be doing that at all. Oh dearie me. Oh dearie, dearie me. I think we've got a dodgy cap. Well, I'm just going to have to wait for that to come out, but yeah, this is what happens, guys, when you have a dodgy cap. That cap has just failed during the MOT. Unbelievable. Well, I had no issues driving the car down here, and it didn't overheat, and the temperature's telling me one thing, and the engine does not feel cooked at all. So there was enough coolant in the system to keep this one going, but unfortunately this cap, look at that, I can twist it. Look, that is absolutely not sealing. There's no sealing properties on this cap whatsoever. I'm really disappointed. This is actually from, well, a very well-known MG Rover specialist, and I'm not going to name them because I don't think that's fair. There were always dodgy parts, but I'm going to have to look to see if I've got a cap, and the bottle is, yeah, pretty empty, and oh dearie me, what a pity. What has also happened during the MOT is the brake caliper at the back decided to seize. The spring got stuck, but now it's unseized. You take your car for an MOT and it passes, and then it comes back with some faults. Unbelievable, honestly. Welcome to the world of Rover. And before anybody says head gasket, well, there's no other evidence to suggest a head gasket is a fail here. Quite clearly this cap was just not doing the job. So I need to find if I've got a second-hand one. I might have the one it came with. I bought this brand new. No, nothing, absolutely nothing. Okie dokie. New cap it is. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? My conclusion is that, where is the bugger? This cap is faulty. It's got to be. That is acting like there's an airlock in it. I was testing several components to test for head gasket failure. The first test I did was obviously when I let it cool after a couple of hours this evening. I stuck a pressure tester on. It held pressure. No problems. No leaks, no problems, held pressure. Because that is what a pressure tester is supposed to do. The second thing is, when I revved the car, when the car was obviously running and the coolant had come out a little bit, I noticed that when I revved it, there was actually no change. There was no excessive exhaust gases. There wasn't any a sign of any exhaust gases in the bottle. And that's also something to watch out for. Usually when you apply throttle, it would just like a volcano. And you've seen all the videos of things like that, like a proper head gasket failure. Obviously, I have to ascertain the question. I have done a new head gasket, but at the same time, you cannot rule things like that out. But equally, this is at fault. 99% sure am I that this is at fault. And that is supposedly apart from a very well-known MG Rover parts dealer, and it's failed. There's no way that that is sealing. It's not keeping the pressure in the system, and the system is boiling over. The other thing is, if it doesn't keep pressure is getting out, but air is going in. So you're going to get airlocks, which might just explain why I made it home without any leaks up until I stopped, and it just went right in front of my eyes. Luckily, I caught it straight on camera for you, so you can see exactly what my problem is. The other thing is, and that this confirmed that the cap is at fault. I've kept on twisting the cap on the expansion tank, which is brand new. It wouldn't stop turning. It got stiff, but it kept on moving. Now, these caps are supposed to be tight, but it kept on moving, and then it slipped a thread. Now, there's no physical damage to the plastic sort of tabs or the thread on the expansion tank bottle. There's nothing wrong, but it kept on twisting and it just came off. That's not supposed to happen. Garbage, absolute garbage. And people are buying these stuff. Honest to God, that might just be a faulty part, but the truth is about parts is that you have to be very careful about them. Stupidly, I threw the old cap away, so I've gone and ordered myself a new cap. So hopefully in a few days' time, after fitting a new cap, topping up the system, bleeding the system off that bleed, that 10mm bleed screw on the side of the coolant pipe, hopefully I'll be able to confirm whether it was this. And for God's sake, I hope it is, because then I'm going to be scratching my head. But usually when things like this happen, people assume because it's a Rover head gasket. But my car's had a head gasket and it holds pressure. So that explains that that cap is 99.9% at fault at this moment in time. Hopefully I'll get back to you. But this is a tale of problems coming freeze. Headlight, seized caliper, and, well, the cap, I think. If you have any ideas, if you have any suggestions and comments, please put it below. I will read them and no doubt think, interesting. I always like people's perspective on this sort of thing. Well, Beatrix has definitely got 12 months left in her, according to that ticket. But it might not be worth anything if that keeps doing that. Take care, guys.